Can you guys hear me now? We're working on audio here, and I'm not sure how it's doing. If you guys can hear me, I'm waiting for the audio. Here. Can you guys hear me now? All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. I'm here, and I was showing you some of my favorite memes while I was trying to get in here, but now I'm going to take those out, and I'll be looking at you in just a moment. Let me... Whoops. Go there. Oh, no. Where do I... There. Haha! I managed to hide the darn thing. Hello. That background looks a bit busy, doesn't it? Let me put that one back on. There. All right. How you all doing? I guess as I was gonna tell you that the first thing we're gonna do is we'll talk about the Barry Morphew $1 million question, but then we'll talk about Linda Stanley because she's in court now. And thank you about my hair, yay! And the original thumb on here, there was a cartoon guy that looked all angry and cartoon Barry on there, and I was just kind of feeling it what the angry guy looked like, because it was like anger and frustration, so much going on in this case and so much not happening or seeming like it's not happening too, right? Anyway, first I have in front of me a stack of papers, 20 papers thick, and all it is a list of the papers filed in that Barry Morphew lawsuit. And, it's got a little description of what was done in it. And like the second thing ever put in there cracked me up, because it showed that he he had a notice of noncompliance with court procedures and rules, and explained that they didn't do the document correctly, and that next time they needed to file their document correctly. When Barry filed this lawsuit, it cost him $402 to file it. And it is called Morphew v. Chaffee County et al. And then it's got a list of, I believe, 23 different that was easy for me to say, right? 23 different defendants, but there are a whole bunch of motions to dismiss for a couple different reasons. Some of them are motions to dismiss for failure to state a claim, and others were procedures. And let's see, I'm going through all the summonses because I highlighted a couple of things, and it went through a couple different judges. And right now, nothing is really going on at the moment due to the judge stating that they were not going to do anything on there until they had a chance to read all of the responses, because Barry's team had to respond to all of the different motions to dismiss, and then all those things are going to have to be ruled on. And then after that's all ruled on and they see what's left of the case, then they're going to go on with running that case. And let's see, it appears that the first one of the people to ask for a motion to dismiss was Linda Stanley. And of course, there was a response from Team Morphew, who, hey, dressage gal, a response from Team Morphew why they thought that she shouldn't be dismissed from the lawsuit. And then, of course, that's going to continue going. And, Jeff Lindsay put in a motion to dismiss. So did Mark Hurlbert. Basically, everybody put in motions to dismiss. And one thing that I really wanted to bring up, though, was that I saw news reports about how it was written saying that when there's a motion, when there's the plaintiff, the person suing, when their party motions to dismiss, that usually there's some kind of transaction, is what the report was saying. And in this case, that is irresponsible and not what happened at all. They didn't report correctly, because if they had gone on Pacer, they would have been able to get the documents. And it was Mr. Grusing and Mr. Harris with the FBI or CBI, I forget which, I think FBI. But anyway, they did their motion to dismiss, and the first thing submitted by Grusing for his evidence of why the motion should be dismissed was what he called Exhibit A. And Exhibit A was the closing arguments from that preliminary trial. It had what the prosecution team said, and it had Iris's whole closing argument. And it mentioned the Moonlight Pizza again. It had a few things like that in there, stuff that we know isn't really right for the timelines and things like that. But when they did this trial, well, it wasn't a trial, it was preliminary hearing. When they did that, Suzanne hadn't been found yet. And when they filed this lawsuit, Suzanne had not been found yet. And it just is rather interesting to me that what's going to be happening actually is going to be this thing against Linda Stanley, because if she is found to not have deserved sanctions on at least some of the things, then those items that are complained about in Barry's case are going to have to be X'd out, and they've already had to X out the parts pertaining to the people that have been dismissed from the case. And anyway, after Jonathan Grusing submitted those closing arguments as a reason why he should be dismissed, he and Agent Harris, the other thing was they submitted another thing. It was a legal brief. It was a summary of a different case where they had been trying to prosecute agents for I guess whatever it is, that wrongful arrest or whatever it is that Barry's trying to say. And anyway, it said that in their line of duty, they can't be held for whatever they were doing in their line of duty. So so that's what's going on with that. There was nothing exchanged. They didn't get any money or promises or anything like that from Barry. They didn't grease his palm either. It was just that simply Barry didn't have a case against them. And so that got they got dismissed from there. And there are numerous other people that have put in their motions to dismiss, like Claudette Julian and Scott Himshoot, and they used their own exhibits A and B, and that was stuff, case law, I guess is the word for it, that was showing precedence about how in this type situation they can't be sued. So they were dismissed from the suit as well. And And then Barry and his team went ahead and did a motion to dismiss against Grusing and Harris, and this was with prejudice, which means they cannot try to sue them again. And anyway, Barry has filed responses to all of these things, saying that that they don't agree or whatever, because they are not. The response motions are just regarding motion to dismiss. If he was agreeing to dismiss at that point, it would have just been dismissed like these other ones were. So these final outstanding ones, which are motion to dismiss Stanley, motion to dismiss for failure to state a claim. I don't remember who that was. I think that's for the whole of Chaffee County. And motion to dismiss by Walker and Lindsay, motion to dismiss by Hurlburt, motion to dismiss the other CBI defendants, and motion to dismiss the Chaffee County defendants, and failure to state a claim. Anyway, Barry filed responses to these things, and the judge will have to read those and then decide whether or not they'll dismiss that. And basically what they've got is they've got 23 defendants, and they have like close to 18 motions to dismiss or filing saying that there's no claim, etc. So we'll see on that. And then I've got Linda Stanley's complaint that's against her. And I see Hope Rock says Linda Stanley will lose her license, as she should. And I am thinking that she probably will on a couple of these counts, but yeah, I'm not sure exactly what they are going to decide, because I don't know how this panel, it's a panel of 3 judges, I believe, and they're hearing all of this. And I read online too that once the hearing is over, which is going to take 2 weeks, and once it's over, they have up to 57 or 56 days to respond, to come up with a verdict. But I think that they're going to have an answer sooner than that. Anyway, the first 2 pages are just the general allegations basically against her, and it starts with the jurisdiction, and then it goes to the general allegations. And the allegations against her, the first one, respondent is the elected district attorney for the 11th Judicial District, which includes Fremont, Chaffee, Park, and Custer counties, which is true. And she won her campaign for district attorney in November of 2020 and took office on January 12th, 2021. And months prior to her election on May 10th, 2020, Suzanne Morphew disappeared, and a massive search and rescue effort ensued, along with a potential criminal investigation involving the FBI and CBI. And then it says that they executed hundreds of warrants and all this stuff. And then number 8, it says respondent was aware of the Suzanne Morphew investigation prior to becoming district attorney on January 12th of 2021. And it says she met with law enforcement regarding the ongoing Morphew investigation on January 22nd, 2021, in a meeting that included Alex Walker, Joseph Cahill, Robin Burgess, and Deputy District Attorney Jeff Lindsay, which I think is why they have not, on Barry's lawsuit, moved forward yet. because they're going to see what happens in here, what, if any, details are revealed that could be used in his suit. Anyway, it says, as of January 2021, no charges had been filed related to Suzanne Morphew's disappearance. The respondent assigned Lindsay to be the lead prosecutor in the Morphew investigation, and the respondent also assigned Lindsay to the entire Chaffee County felony docket in addition to handling the Morphew investigation. So, yeah, they gave him rather a lot of work, didn't she? And so the first day of her trial, they talked to Lindsay, and Lindsay was saying that he was overworked, he was overloaded, and he ended up quitting, and she had to assign somebody else to the job. But that he, was in over his head. There was way too much work for just one person. And then we get to on April 30th and May 3rd, 2021, Walker emailed respondent and DDA Lindsay an amended draft affidavit for arrest warrant for Barry Morphew. On May 5th, 2021, Walker submitted an affidavit in support of arrest to the court, seeking a warrant with a no-hold bond for Barry Morphew for first-degree murder of his wife, Suzanne Morphew. And Judge Patrick Murphy found that there was probable cause to arrest Barry Morphew and signed the arrest warrant the same day. And on May 18th, 2021, respondent and DDA Lindsay filed a complaint and information which lists the official charges against Barry Morphew as 1 count of first-degree murder, 1 count of tampering with a deceased human body, 1 count of tampering with physical evidence, possession of a dangerous weapon, and 1 count of attempt of influence over a public servant, which I believe counts as, if you lie to investigators or something, that's trying to convince them that you're not guilty of something you're guilty of. Well, that's trying to influence them. Anyway, then it says that the basis for all this, and I've highlighted it, the different sections. Respondent statements to the press and influencers start early and continue. So from April 2021 to August of 2022, Linda Stanley was in contact via text messages with Mike King, host of Profiling Evil YouTube channel. So she was talking to him before the arrest. Interesting. And it says Mr. King is part of a global network of true crime podcasters and influencers, and his YouTube channel discussing true crime is called Profiling Evil. Linda Stanley frequently updated King and responded to his requests for information about the Morphew case. And then the respondent exchanged text messages and had a phone call with King regarding the Morphew case on May 3rd. And on May 5th, the same day that Walker submitted the arrest affidavit to the court for Morphew's arrest, respondent, which is Stanley, attended a press conference along with Sheriff John Spazey. And in response to a question about whether Morphew was cooperating with the investigation and whether Morphew was asked if he knew where the body was, the respondents told the media he was taken into custody, and when asked questions, he said he wanted a lawyer, and all questioning ended. And Hope Rocks, I have no idea why Lyris didn't speak of Krish in here, because Krish is part of it. But, it's only going after Mike King, and I believe that Iris may have had more of a speaking thing with Chris than she did with Mike. Iris, not Linda. And anyway, on May 15th, 2021, when Mike King of Profiling Evil texted the respondent asking her for more information about the short rifle Barry Morphew allegedly used to kill Suzanne Morphew, as had been identified in the complaint, the respondent replied, I will see what I can do, only because it's you, Mike. And while that's interesting, I'm not sure whether she's going to be found in trouble for saying that at all, because they would have to, I think they have to get intent, like whether she really meant that she would give him more, or if she just said that she would give him more to seem all friendly or whatever. Anyway, when Mike King texted respondent and asked her if perhaps Mr. Morphew strangled Suzanne in the hot tub, respondent replied, we know it wasn't bloody. The hot tub was drained with crust around the drain areas, indicating it had not been used in a long time. But keep on spinning ideas in your brain. Now, that I think is probably inappropriate, and I think she was probably giving away a bit too much info there. And then King texted respondent and asked her about Suzanne Morphew's car keys. And here's one where she's really spilling the beans, folks, because she replied, we think she always left her purse in the car. So, he asks about keys. She says the purse gets left in the car. So now we know that the purse was left in the car, and, maybe the keys were in the purse as well. I don't know. But, there she is giving up stuff. And when King texted respondent and asked her about, I already read that one. Sorry. In June of 2021, when King texted the respondent to comment about a new video on Barry Morphew, the respondent replied, I'm great, thanks. We got him. No worries. And this one that I'm reading to you right now is in court right now. This is the first week of it. It's going to be going next week as well. And then they will determine what kind of sanctions Linda Stanley will have. She can lose her law license. And then that would give some more weight to Barry's case, which is kind of stalled at the moment. They're not moving forward at the moment. And I believe that it's because they're waiting for this to clear so that they can move forward with, for one thing, the evidence of whatever anybody testifies to that's listed in his lawsuit, but also then they would have the meat and potatoes, so to speak, because they would have whatever the court rules regarding Linda Stanley that they can then use in their lawsuit. And I know that I'm guessing that he's not going to get $15 million, but he might get something because of Linda Stanley. He might not have a case against anybody else, but it looks like he does have one against her. We all knew she was a screw up, though. Well, we didn't know going in, but by the time we were hearing that they weren't getting information to the defense team like they were supposed to, she wasn't following rules. She didn't even go get her continuing education requirements when she was supposed to. It's a mess. Anyway, meanwhile, the prosecution struggles with its discovery obligations. And it says, within the first few months after Morphew's arrest, the respondent was made aware by Lindsay and other staff that her office was having extreme difficulty complying with, and then it's a criminal code, mandatory disclosures in a timely manner in the Morphew case. And it says the respondent was aware that the Salida office in Chaffee County did not have enough bandwidth to send to defense counsel large amounts of electronic discovery, data, videos, and photos via the action system in a timely manner. So she was told that it couldn't be sent from that office. I don't know why she didn't have it couriered to another office where it could be sent. That just kind of makes sense, right? That if you wanted to get things done on time and in the rules of the law, you would do what you need to do, right? But she obviously did not. Morphew's defense counsel filed a motion to compel for sanctions because the prosecution failed to timely disclose all information to Morphew as required by Criminal R16. And yeah, put it on a thumb drive. Do something. There had to be some way that she could have gotten this to the defense, but she didn't. So she. While the judge in the case wasn't any help, Linda Stanley certainly is the one with the most flub ups, most it's just yes. Anyway, on June 3rd, 2021, Judge Murphy, that was the first judge, remember him? He's the one that had to leave because it turned out that Barry's girlfriend, Shoshana, her attorney, is buddies with this judge. So there was a conflict of interest. So he recused himself, and then Judge Lama came up. Anyhow, Judge Murphy issued an order in response to the defendant's discovery motions, declaring the defense requests for all emails and text messages between law enforcement officers and all individuals, including prosecutors, contacted and pertaining to this case. It is too broad and is not required by case law or statute. Therefore, it is ordered that any electronic communications created or received by law enforcement officers related to this case must be disclosed to the defense if they are material to the prosecution of the case, or if they contain any evidence that would be in any way favorable to the defense. And Hope Rocks is making a good point. It says this was Linda Stanley's first murder trial. She failed her constituents and all of the judicial system in Colorado. Horrid, but two wrongs don't make a right. Defense was dishonest and just as negligent, for sure. And then it goes on to say, then there's some stuff about the CODIS stuff, which they said that they didn't disclose it on time, but we also know that it wasn't really relevant. And then CBI's got its own issues with a lab person that messed up with stuff. But anyhow, let's move on to let's see. Sheriff Spacey got a grant to help on the Morphew prosecution, $100,000 from the Chaffee County Commissioners. Oh, so that's why Barry's suing the Chaffee County Commissioners, because they... Okay. Anyway, the funds obtained by Sheriff Spacey could support hiring additional personnel, so Mark Hurlbert was hired as an additional deputy district attorney, and he began assisting on August 4th, 2021. And so, in case you didn't know, Barry sued the Chaffee County Commissioners in this suit as well. And apparently it's because they provided money to, at that point, find his missing wife. This guy's a piece of work. Anyhow, Morphew's combined preliminary hearing and presumption great hearing was set for August 9th and 10th and 24th and 25th in 2021. On August 9th through 10th, during the first 2 days of Morphew's combined hearing, defense identified on May 19th CODIS DNA casework match. That's that Rover stuff, which we know was not to the offender that they were making a big deal about. It's a relative. It could be a very distant relative. We don't know. It just is related to, and we don't even have a way of knowing how old it was. So anyway, that's part of what they're saying, though, because she didn't supply that information in a timely manner. And respondent goes on the Profiling Evil show after the hearing, and it says the last 2 days of the hearing, defense cross-examined former CBI agent Cahill regarding the CODIS DNA casework match letter. And on August 24th at 10:31 a.m. during the third day, Mike King texted respondent the question, "Feeling good?" And the respondent replied, "Yes, only because the judge has basically indicated that he's done. That's good for us." And later on August 24th, King texted the respondent, "Now the noise. I heard defendant tried to stare you down this morning." And the respondent replied, "I stared him down. I have tried to every single day." And I guess she's supposed to act like, innocent until proven guilty, even if she's bringing charges against somebody, which shows that she thinks that they're guilty. She's not supposed to talk saying that they're guilty or anything like that. And on August 29th, King and the respondent discussed via text messaging and phone what King would say to his audience about the Morphew case and what King would say to his audience about Linda Stanley. And on August 30th, she appeared on Mike King's YouTube channel called Profiling Evil, a publicly viewable show and comment forum to discuss the Barry Morphew case. During or after the Profiling Evil podcast, the respondent also made written statements in the online comment section after the podcast ended. And no, Barry didn't get rearrested yet, Bruce. I wish, but I think that I think now that the arrest would be coming after the lawsuit due to just getting things cleaned up and squared away, I suppose. Although not necessarily regarding his lawsuit. Definitely after Linda Stanley's thing, though, just because of so much going on. Hope Rox is being funny. Says, I heard Lyris is attempting to sue Lulu. Something about claw marks and Bam. Lulu's the kitten that lived at the Morphew home. And yeah, and that Bam is really damning. I can't believe how all over all the Barry minions are like trying to dismiss it, trying to say, oh, that doesn't mean anything. Bam could come from anywhere, blah, blah, blah. You can't come from just anywhere. And they keep saying, it doesn't say Bam in the autopsy. It says the name of the 3 drugs that make up Bam. One begins with a B, the next begins with an A, and the final one begins with an M. Bam. And, Barry admitted to having Bam. Barry said that it looked bad for him. In an interview with law enforcement, he tells them he knows it looks bad for him that he has Bam. He had no way of knowing if he was innocent. He had no way of knowing that Bam was going to come up in the case, that it was going to be significant. Bam was found in Suzanne's bone. But, there's Barry saying, oh, me throwing away my Bam looks bad for me. And I was like, Anyway, in addition to commenting immediately after the podcast, the respondent used her own name as her username and authored numerous other comments in response to various members of the public who had also written comments to Profiling Evil. A commenter on YouTube with the username Jean-Luc Brasseur or I don't know if that's the right way to pronounce that, but posted the following on Profiling Evil in response to the respondents' statements about Morphew. In a preliminary hearing, you are supposed to lay out enough evidence to take the accused to trial. The defense did a great job of debunking a few of the theories. Most reasonable observers of this case aren't even confident that the state laid out enough evidence to take this to trial. How do you expect them to win a case with zero DNA and zero body with a very weak preliminary hearing? If there was some smoking gun, they could have provided more info at the preliminary hearing, causing the judge to actually send it to trial on day 4. Him needing time is not a sign of a very strong case. He has read the whole affidavit already. So if you think there is something special in there, think again. It's best for the state to let this one go for now. Try the man again if you find better evidence. Which is very good suggestion, actually, and that it's going to happen. He is going to get tried again, and I'm sure they have a lot more evidence now because of Suzanne being found and having BAM in her system, and it not being that she went missing during a bike ride. While her clothes that were found with her, which it doesn't even specify in the autopsy report whether these clothes were, originally had been on her body, or if, they'll have that when they do the in-depth one, like when it goes to trial. I won't go into those details. Anyway, in response to the public comment, respondent, again using her own name as her username, wrote, "The judge explained why he was going to take time with it. He actually should, because there was a lot of evidence admitted. I'm curious how long you've been a criminal law attorney, since you like to think that you know it. Look this up. Dante Lucas, convicted in Pueblo, Colorado, right next to my jurisdiction less than a year ago for first-degree murder. Guess what? No DNA, no body, no murder weapon, no smoking gun, as you say. But here's the clincher. He was the last one to see Kelsey alive, and Barry was the last one to see Suzanne alive, as we stated in the preliminary. Those items you listed may be important to you, but not for others. P.S. Dylan Redwine's father was also just recently convicted of first-degree murder in the death of his son. Same scenario. Didn't have any of the laundry list of items that you think you are required for a conviction. I can come up with plenty more. Just let me know." So she was pretty combatant with this person in the discussion, and I think maybe by doing that, she might have been giving away too much information and also stating, I guess, Barry's guilt or something, and I guess she's not supposed to do that. And maybe I should say, it's my opinion that he's guilty. So, it's my opinion. And anyway, then number 50, she brings me up, or I'm brought up in here. Respondent exchanged Facebook Messenger messages with Jules Wolfe, creator of True Crime with Jules, which is a podcast available through YouTube and other public platforms regarding Barry Morphew. And now it's only here. I was getting spread too thin. Anyway, when Jules Wolfe asked whether Morphew was getting ready to flee, respondent said, "Possibly." These text messages were made public by Wolfe and remained available for the public to read. And yeah, and I believe they're still on the channel. On September 16th, 2021, Morphew's defense filed a motion for sanctions for violation of the court's pretrial publicity order. And the motion was based in part on the respondent's statements to the media and the respondent's written comments to the public on Profiling Evil and to Jules Wolfe, creator of True Crime with Jules. And And see, those things, if they're ruled to be, if the judges agree, then she's toast on those particular charges, because there's evidence and everything. That's is what she did. She did message me. She did message Mike King. She did text with people in the chats. Anyway, where does it go now? Okay, Judge Murphy stated that he had not reviewed the defense's motion, but advised the respondent, while I won't order it, it certainly seems reasonable to limit interaction and interviews with the media regarding a specific case that you are prosecuting. This is the normal route, and I see most prosecutors take. So I'm not ruling on the motion, it says I'm not issuing an order other than the order I've already issued, but I am saying if there's a violation, it's going to be a self-inflicted wound. And that was after September 17th. And later, when King from Profiling Evil texted the respondent questions about the hearing, the respondent responded to his text, not surprised on bail. No CH, and our CBI witness, Cahill, majorly screwed up on his testimony. He's not on the case anymore. So, she's spilling the beans again. Right after the judge told her, don't go spilling the beans. And with no additional funding requested, the prosecution team struggles with staffing. The respondent did not ask for additional funding for the Morphew prosecution when she submitted her 2022 budget to the commissioners in September of 2021. And her reasoning was that to do so would, and I guess this is her quote, take a whole lot of time away from us to have a public meeting in front of all the commissioners. And commissioners would argue, why are we paying more for your entire budget when this is over in May? And if it doesn't go, for whatever reason it doesn't go, are they going to ask for that money back, etc.? And Lindsay resigned in October 2021 and gave 4 weeks notice. The respondent assigned Holbert to take over as lead counsel on the Morphew case. And then on October 29th, 2022, Lindsay left the 11th Judicial Office, and the respondent hired Bob Wiener to assist with the Morphew case. Then the court required a change of venue, in part due to the respondent's extrajudicial statements. And it says on January 25th, 2022, the court held a hearing on the defense's motion for sanctions for pretrial extrajudicial statements. That's not easy for me to say, which highlighted numerous statements by respondent to the media, as well as respondents' written comments to the public on the Profiling Evil YouTube channel and to Jules Wolfe, creator of True Crime with Jules. Judge Murphy recused himself because he was good friends with the lawyer representing Barry Morphew's new girlfriend, Shoshana Dark. Judge Ramsey Lama was then assigned to preside over the case, now Fremont County Case 22CR47. Judge Lama reviewed numerous statements the respondent made publicly regarding Morphew, as well as an affidavit from a Salida community member who attested that the talk of the town was that the media, DA Stanley, and the judge all made statements that convinced them that Barry Morphew killed his wife. And, hey, Deanna. Much love to you and to everybody else in the chat. So anyway, there was the change of venue based on what the respondent was doing out of court, which, respondent is Linda Stanley. And, she was motor mouthing all over the place. And Judge Lama determined that the respondent's out-of-court statements materially prejudiced Morphew's right to a fair and impartial jury. And then the respondent fails to ensure the prosecution team properly discloses its experts, and the respondents knew or should have known the Morphew case depended heavily on expert testimony, given there was no body to establish murder and much of the typical forensic evidence in a homicide was not available, such that the expert disclosure requirements needed to be met fully and on time. And the prosecution's expert disclosures were due February 14th, 2022. Edwards drafted the expert disclosures without ever having reviewed the discovery, pulling names only from the pleadings. And Edwards filed the expert disclosures on February 14th, but the expert disclosures were inaccurate and incomplete. Neither respondent nor Hurlburt nor Weiner reviewed Edwards' expert disclosure for accuracy before it was filed. No one from the prosecution team timely disclosed the CVs and expert reports of prosecution's experts as required by the court's order. And on February 24th, 2022, the court held a hearing on expert disclosures during which the prosecution conceded their expert disclosures did not comply with Rule 16 or the court's case management order. And then the prosecution sought and received an extension. And then Edwards filed his notice of withdrawal and left the prosecution team. And on February 28th, 2022, Hurlbut filed P44, People's Superseding Endorsement of Expert Witnesses, which admitted that some listed experts were still in the process of preparing a statement. So they weren't ready to go. And so anyway, a bunch more of this kind of thing, which is just like mismanagement. She didn't have control of the office. She wasn't making sure that they had what they needed. She wasn't making sure that people had enough help or anything like that. She wasn't being a leader. And the judge ruled that he was finding a pattern and finding prejudice, and there's a record to support a pattern of neglect here and prejudice. And then on March 30th, there was a Shrek hearing to go over the scope of opinion of expert Doug Spence. Remember, they called Doug Spence the dog handler who, I think he worked for the prison or something, but I'm not positive on that. Anyhow, the night before the hearing, Gross, I can't say the guy's name, or gals, I don't know. Anyway, called Spence to prepare him for the hearing, and at that point learned that no one on the prosecution team had actually spoken to Spence ever. And Spence expressed opinions during his telephone conversation the night before the Shrek hearing that were not entirely consistent with what had been included in the prosecution's expert endorsement. And the prosecution's initial and supplemental expert endorsement for Spence had indicated that Spence would offer an opinion based on a law enforcement canine, Roscoe, following a scent down to a creek in the direction of the Morphew home. But this was not consistent with what Spence told Gross at the night before the Shrek hearing. So, everybody that says that the dog followed a scent is, has been fooled by somebody in the prosecution team saying that was what Spence was going to testify to, but it's not what Spence was going to testify to. And in addition, on cross-examination of Spence, the defense elicited that Spence had, in fact, authored his own report of his investigation, which he had not provided previously. And that was because the prosecution had never asked him for a report either. And so there was no report given to them or to the defense, but that was a discovery violation because it existed and it wasn't shared. And so that was some more issues. And then on April 8th, 2022, the court granted another one of the defense's motions for sanctions for discovery violations, and they determined that the people failed to put in place a system to preserve emails as ordered by Judge Murphy on June 3rd. The court finds a continuing pattern by the people of an inability and failure to comply with its Rule 16 obligations, as well as the court's case management orders. And so anyway, then the sanctions came, and the respondent was informed by the prosecution team that expert dog handler Spence had been excluded, and of the 16 experts that they initially endorsed that were endorsed by the prosecution, 15 had been excluded altogether, and the one remaining had their scope of testimony reduced. So, that was a big torpedo into the case, and that's why they decided to dismiss without prejudice so that they could try him again later when they had their ducks in a row, so to speak. But anyway, then we get to this respondent orders investigation of Judge Lama after series of adverse rulings. On March 12th, 2022, 2 days after the court hearing regarding the prosecution's deficient expert disclosures, the respondent texted the Morphew prosecution team, which was now Hurlburt, Weiner, and Grossbauer, a petition started by Jules Wolfe. Yeah, that's me. Respondent sent the prosecution team the petition written by Jules Wolfe, which claimed the ex-wife of Judge Lama is an advocate of Suzanne, Morphew, and victims of domestic abuse. And the respondent continued texting the other prosecutors, encouraging them to investigate whether Judge Lama had ever abused his ex-wife, Iris Lama. And so it begins. The respondent decided to interview Iris Lama because, and here's her quote, "We couldn't understand Judge Lama's orders that were so egregious against us, and he's normally not like that. And we were discussing what's going on, and those two came together, and I said, let's see if we can get somebody to interview her to see if there was something going on, or if she suspects that he is trying to get back at her, essentially, in almost a passive aggressive way by making this case impossible to prosecute. So we wanted to see if she would say anything to us about any of that, or if these actions by the judge may be almost a passive aggressive move at her." And in March 2022, respondent and Weiner called Commander Wanker at the Chaffee County Sheriff's Office and asked if they had an investigator to investigate an allegation of prior domestic abuse by Judge Lama. Wanker refused, telling the respondent she had no good source for this investigation. The respondent persisted and enlisted her own investigator to interview Judge Lama's ex-wife. On April 7th, 2022, the respondent emailed Hurlburt and others and informed them that investigator Andrew Corey, who worked for the respondent's office, was going to interview Iris Lama regarding Judge Lama. And on April 9th, 2022, the day after the expert disclosure sanctions order and 19 days before the scheduled commencement of the Morphew trial, investigator That was not easy for me to say either. Investigator Andrew Corey met with respondent Hurlbert and Weiner and wrote in his notes that respondent wanted to find out if Judge Lama had spoken to Iris about the Morphew case and whether domestic violence had occurred during their relationship. A week later, on April 15th, 2022, the respondent's investigator Andrew Corey interviewed Iris Lama. Corey reported that Iris Lama told him there was never any domestic abuse in their relationship and that Judge Lama never said anything to her about the Morphew case. On April 19th, 2022, the respondent moved to dismiss the case at the pretrial readiness conference, which was 9 days before the trial was scheduled to begin. The court granted the motion and dismissed the Morphew case without prejudice. And then it says, Claim 1, a lawyer shall act with reasonable diligence and promptness. And then, it gives a summary of the ways that she wasn't diligent or prompt or anything. And Claim 2, pretrial publicity. And we've already talked about what the pretrial publicity was. And Claim 3, prosecutors' extrajudicial comments. And so she made those comments to me on September 14th, 2021, and to Mike King in June of 2021. And Claim 5, attempt to violate the rules of professional conduct and conduct prejudicial to administration of justice. And it's talking about abuse of power and stuff like that. And I think there was a bit of that. And then there's respondents' extrajudicial statements become more brazen. And this part is showing that she didn't learn anything at all from the Morphew case. And this is not the one I just reported to you guys either. This is just another one. There are so many. Anyway, on May 22nd, 2023, a child abuse case was initiated against William Henry Jacobs, stemming from the death of a 10-month-old child. And approximately a week later, Brooke Crawford, the mother of the child, was charged as a co-defendant on June 2nd, 2023. The charges arose from an incident that occurred while the child was in Mr. Jacobs' care, and the respondent subsequently formally charged Mr. Jacobs with murder in the first degree and 2 counts of felony child abuse, resulting in death for the death of 10-month-old child. He was also charged with misdemeanor animal cruelty. And Ms. Crawford was charged with felony child abuse resulting in serious bodily injury, misdemeanor child abuse, and misdemeanor animal cruelty. But then, on August 1st, 2023, a television interview aired with the respondent and KRDO Channel 13 investigative reporter Sean Rice discussing the child abuse cases. And it says at the date of this filing, KRDO's video and audio news story can be accessed at, and it's got the link. And anyway, it's got the transcript of the interview there, and she basically dissed both people, saying that the mom took in the guy to be a babysitter, and that she thought that the guy was being was just wanting some nookie and whatever, and so their charges have been dropped. And as Hope Rock says, there's 22 cases were thrown out from her mismanagement. 22. And they range from murder cases and abuse cases, and even P3DO case that she mucked up. She actually confused, because the spelling was different, but she didn't notice that the spelling was different. She confused a case thought the guy was in custody when he wasn't, and so she left a kid in a very bad situation. And it's just inexcusable, that kind of. She should have asked for help. She should have done more delegation. She should have. There's so much that she should have done that she didn't do, and then she stayed super cocky about it. And anyway, pretrial publicity is claim 6, and claim 7 is prosecutors' extrajudicial comments, and then that's it. But so it's 7 different charges, and I know for a fact that some of those, she is guilty of. She did these things, and if they decide that they were wrong, then she's going to be toast, because there's no arguing that she did do the things that she did. She just she has her explanations about what it was, and why she did it, etc. So that's oh my god. Yeah. Hope Rock just mentions, do you remember when we found out about the secret hearing and she was asked about it and said there was no case, but it was BM's birthday? She was atrocious. Yeah. And that was, straight up lie, because, it only took a little bit of Googling to realize it wasn't his birthday. So that's that woman. Anyway, so that's what's going on with Stanley. She's having to talk about all this. And also, I'd like to point out, though, that as you can plainly see here, these allegations about what she did going after Judge Lama, and the fact that she used my petition as a reason to do that, I didn't give her the petition. I had no contact with her regarding the petition whatsoever. Nobody asked me to do the petition, etc. I was just so needing something to do. I was so frustrated over what was happening in court, the sanctions, and the loss of the experts, and not allowing domestic abuse experts to speak, etc. It was a horrible blow, and I had to do something, and so I did that. I didn't know at the time who the authority was that would look into a judge, but I'm sure it's higher up than a DA. And yeah, I have hope and faith that Suzanne will receive justice as well. Anyway, so she's going to be in court for those things. And as I was saying, my rant, I'll just cut it short and say with my rant part of it, which is that there are 2 reporters that I know of that have gone and made very biased reporting on this and put their own spin on it. And one of them, this Jordan Hedberg, whatever guy that I have mentioned on my channel and everything, I tried to get in touch with him. I tried to tell him how it really went or anything like that. And I suspected that Tom was the one that was behind the reporting that was in such a prejudicial way, because what it's doing is it's saying, there's Tom, haha. Let me get Tom out of there. Anyway, Tom has a personal vendetta, and he has people in his sights, and they include, you guys know the channel AK Rocks got taken down by Tom. He's gunning for him. He's gone and harassed the guy's family. There's just so much defamation going on, and then he's also thrown me in there and has gone after me. And he tried to make this big old conspiracy about my petition and about Linda Stanley going and investigating Judge Lama. The purpose of my petition was to get eyes on Judge Lama, to see whether he was fit to be on the bench, whether he was biased, etc. Turns out he actually was in a lot of pain, was taking pain relievers for his pain, and actually has now retired from the bench because of his disability, and he's in private practice now, which makes me think that he probably shouldn't have been on the bench for this. Anyhow, my opinion, and anyway, I just wanted him looked into by whoever the authority was, and I had no intention of Linda Stanley doing anything about it. She was nowhere on my radar, and I don't know how she found this, because it turns out that they're reporting that she sent my petition to her coworkers the same day that I made it public, and so I don't know where she got it from, but I did put it on social media. I put it on Twitter. I put it on my channel, and I put it on my Facebook, and so it was out there. And I know that Lauren Scharf had seen it and had talked to me about it, and she even did a piece on the news, but I think it was like 2 days later. So anyway, I didn't have anything to do with that, and I know that there's people going around saying that somebody asked people to write this petition, and I wasn't asked by anybody. This was just my own gut reaction was to go and do this. I didn't consult with anyone. I didn't talk to anybody about it. There was no conspiracy, and yet these reporters write it like it was, and this Jordan Hidberg guy, he said that he got it directly from the court documents, but I don't see anywhere in the court documents where it says that there was some kind of conspiracy and that we were all working with Linda Stanley and that that everybody was out to get the judge or anything like that. That, though, is something that Tom has said and Tom has been saying. And in case you didn't guess, this is the part of the program where I was going to be talking about Barry's minions, Tom being one of them. And Tom seems to have his own following, and it's really crazy and weird. He's even got a Google Doc that he's been sharing publicly to like everybody, where he's calling me like a cult member or a cult whatever, and he's going after me, he's going after AK, and he's going after Martin, and he's saying all kinds of stuff in there. He's even gone and accused different people that I happen to know, and I know that they're not Kurt, and he's saying that they're Kurt's alt accounts, and these are actual people that I know, and they're not Kurt. And it's like, what are you doing, dude? Going around saying like it's gospel that these people are alt accounts, that there was a conspiracy, that this and that happened, and it's not based in reality at all. And so just looking at it and going, why are they doing this? And The further down minions, they're doing it too, but they probably don't know the big picture of up at the higher levels. They just know what they're told, what they hear, and then they go and spread it, and they spread it all around. And really, it's coming from Team Barry, and it's coming from people that have a personal dislike for me or dislike for Kurt or Martin, and so they go and try to discredit, and it's just no good. And so then we move on to the final part, which I said would be the final piece of today's live. We would talk about who is the wanker that killed Suzanne. And in my opinion, the wanker who killed Suzanne is Barry, and I have lots of facts, things to back that up. And some of them I've discussed out on Twitter with others, and but we're going to start with the BAM and why is Team Barry so intent on discrediting the BAM? Like they're saying, and caffeine was found in it too, but we don't know this. The general public doesn't know this because about caffeine, because that wasn't mentioned in the autopsy report that was made public. And maybe caffeine was found, but we don't know that. So that's how we know that these arguments discrediting the BAM and saying, it's for something else or whatever, or, it's not BAM, it's this drug, and this drug, which are the components of BAM. It's just proof that it's coming directly from Team Barry, because the only one who has the complete report besides, the coroner's office and the DA, that the 12th Judicial, who has got the jurisdiction on this, is Barry and Barry's lawyers and whoever he chooses to share it with. And so anything like that, where it comes from. And so there's that one. And then there's Barry's actions. I'm talking about why I think that Barry's guilty. I'm not saying it as gospel. I'm saying it's my opinion, Tech Commander. And the first thing I was talking about is how the stories about the BAM are coming down from Team Barry right at the top of the line, because the only ones who have seen the full autopsy report would be Barry's lawyers, and the prosecution. And so, any little details thrown in there about the BAM is coming directly from the defense. And I know that the defense got right on it about how, everybody has BAM. Everybody's running around with BAM in their pocket. And, that's not true. It's controlled substance. You need to have, you need to sign for it. You need to get licensed for it. You need to, be a veterinarian, or be, in Barry's case, he was a co-owner of a deer farm that is in Indiana. And that's how he got BAM. And he admitted having it. And, he admitted all those things. And then another thing that I'm seeing going around is people arguing about the needle sheath found in the dryer. I don't know whether that was planted or not. Because some people are saying there was evidence that it was planted. It may have been, but it's from a hypodermic needle, and there are several purposes of a hypodermic needle that could have been used at this, in this case. So one is that maybe Suzanne needed hypodermics for her cancer treatment, or maybe people are saying that Barry is diabetic. I don't know whether Barry's diabetic or not, and even if he is diabetic, I don't know whether he has to have insulin injections or whether he does oral drugs for it, or what. I have not seen anything official about him having that. And Tech Commander, you are incorrect about every cancer clinic using those 3 drugs. They do not. And let's just leave it at that, because I was going to go into more detail about that. But anyway, if you talk to people with cancer, or people that work in cancer centers, etc., you know that those 3 drugs are not used in cancer. And Deborah Chase, the prosecution was calling it a needle sheath, and the defense, or was it the other way around? One group was calling it a needle sheath, the other was calling it, and the others were calling it a dart cap. Anyway, I was going to say uses for it would be like that, medical uses, or for giving the kitty shots if they were doing that instead of taking it to the vet, because you can buy your pet's injections except for rabies. And let's see, what else? Oh, you use a hypodermic needle to... BAM comes in a bottle, just like medicine does. And it's got the permeable top on it, rubber. And you take the needle and you put it in there and you pull the BAM up out of it. And there's still more doses in the bottle. The bottle holds a lot of doses. And then if you're going to be using it in a dart, you then inject it into a dart. But I suppose you can actually that you can put it right into a person, I suppose. And that's another thing that people are talking about, is the BAM in the bones. And they're saying, oh, well, there can't possibly be BAM in her bones, because if there was BAM in her bones, it wouldn't make it to the bones because she'd die. Not if she was dosed with it, but not killed with it. And if you read the if you read the autopsy report and cause of death, which is homicide, it says that that the BAM was present, the BAM was there. It's in conjunction with the homicide by I think it's saying unknown means, but anyway, it's saying that she was not killed by the BAM. And so the whole BAM thing, and let's see, and I saw the drama going in there, and that is one of the things I was talking about too, is these minions. I was talking about the Barry minions that, they might not even know that they're Barry minions. They might be Tom minions or whatever, but they get given some false information, and then they go and they act on that, and they hurt people. They affect people's lives. And, it's never okay to involve kids, and it's never okay to go IRL. And there's been too much of that going on in this case particularly, particularly, where there are smear campaigns. There's all kinds of stuff going on, especially against me, Kurt, and Martin, where all we've been doing is try to expose the truth, and we shine a light on all of it, the wrongdoings of everybody, and yet we get called conspiracists, we get called all kinds of crazy stuff, and then they go and see you later, Hope Rocks. Hope everything works out. Anyway, that's a total example of what happens. As you can see, a kid was involved, and this has happened more than once because there's been false allegations stemming back to Krish, and it's not right, and it hurts everybody involved. It hurts the family directly. It hurts the family's friends, and it hurts everyone. And so it's best when you're dealing with all these rumors and all this information that's out there, it's best to take it with a grain of salt and really analyze it, see where it's coming from, and what the purpose was, and what the intentions of the person who is giving the information, why are they doing it? What are they doing it for? And so, I guess that's all for now. Be good to each other, love each other, be good to yourselves, and, just justice for Suzanne. Keep praying for it. It's going to happen. And I'll keep analyzing the case, and I'll keep up on what's going on with Stanley and all that, and keep you guys all posted on that. Love you guys. Bye-bye.